Hi, I'm Darlene Carman.
And I'm Doug Carman.
And welcome to the show. My guest has an accomplished career in art. Her graphic design, commercial, and scientific illustration credits include San Diego Zoo, Wild Animal Park, Museum of Natural History, and Ottoman Society. Constance Anderson has exhibited her art at the Smithsonian. She worked for many years as an art teacher, and now she has written and illustrated a children's book, Smelling Sunshine. Hey.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the show. Nice to see you. Now, as people can tell from this cover illustration and also the really elaborate 3D illustration over here, your book is about hanging laundry. So I have to ask you, how did you ever come up with that idea for a story?
Yes, Smelling Sunshine is a story about one world doing this ordinary chore of hanging laundry that becomes extraordinary in its nighttime comfort. And I wrote Smelling Sunshine reflecting on my childhood, growing up in Southern California with a very busy mom who did not have a dryer. So we would hang our laundry outside. And when we were outdoors, we would hear and experience the sights, smells, and sounds of the world around us. And it seemed to slow everything down and bring us closer together. And then at night, I'd pull up those sheets that had been hanging outdoors all day, and there was that wonderful fresh scent and the memories that went with it, what I call the smell of sunshine in the sheets. I also wanted to make my book, Smelling Sunshine, a multicultural story. I was very interested in finding a common connector among people of diverse backgrounds. And hanging laundry is something that people do with someone they care for all around the world. So I found the clothesline as that common connector.
You commented earlier that there's a bill now that's going to make hanging laundry legal. Now, I never thought it was illegal. That's crazy.
I know what you mean. It's funny to think that hanging laundry would be illegal anywhere. But the state of California did pass a bill in October making it easier to hang laundry because it prohibits landlords and homeowners associations from putting too many restrictions on hanging laundry outside. And the California Energy Commission found that dryers use a lot of energy. So this can be a really great green alternative to dryers, which take up about 6% of the electrical use in a household per month.
Which is the heaviest, isn't it? I think I read that on the bill. It's like the heaviest usage of electricity.
Right, exactly. So it's a great green alternative besides being a great thing to do with somebody.
Yeah.
Now, you've written this children's book, and I'd like to know what, from your perspective, what is it about reading to children from an illustrated book that they benefit better than, let's say, some other types of entertainment or activity?
Right.
Is there something about reading from a illustrated book for a young child that promotes?
Yes, there's a number of things actually that reading picture books to children is a wonderful way to share. And one of those is vocabulary. There's been a recent study done that shows that reading picture books to children increases their vocabulary over the daily conversational language that they hear. And that's because picture books have very more complex language, more sophisticated language, as well as ideas. Another aspect about reading to children is that it's an interactive activity. Children are engaged. They're listening, they're questioning, they're making associations, they're going on this great journey of discovery. So these things, along with the inherent comfort and security of this loving ritual, complete with snuggling, can make a lasting difference to a child. So much so that actually the American Academy of Pediatrics has suggested and promoted reading to children at a very, very early age.
So there was a lot more benefits other than just other than just sticking them down in front of the television set.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, because there's that. Television is great. There's wonderful things to be seen on television and to learn from. It's somewhat of a passive activity, though. So when you're reading to a child, you're really engaging with them.
And you're
a lot of times
bonding too.
You're bonding, exactly. So all of those things together can make a big difference.
Your feeling on reading to children, would you say, just from the readings that you do in the libraries and wherever else you do it, in the schools, do you think that the people are reading to their kids more? Do you see any balance going on there? Or, I mean, for a while it just seems like this is all we see.
Right.
What's your feeling on that? Do you think that it's coming back, or did it ever leave?
I think that children's books are really very popular right now. I think there was a dip for a few years, but they are picture books are extremely popular right now. It's when you read to children in a group, they are just so riveted on the story and on what you're saying. So I think it's a very popular thing to do now, and I think that it's going to continue to be.
So it not only works one-on-one, but can work with a group.
Oh,
you
yes.
still get that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I imagine they feed off each other. It's like, well, let's just take a look at your book here.
Okay. The opening page of the book shows two children of different heritage. They are both carrying laundry baskets full of laundry. They are standing on a globe, which is circled by a laundry line that has laundry on it. And out from that is this radiating sun. And the first few words are "on washing day." And I chose that illustration to begin the book because I wanted to make it clear that we were going to be going on a journey of discovery to different parts of the world to see different people doing this particular task. And that is one of the wonderful things about being an illustrator is an illustrator can expand the meaning of a text through illustrations. If you were to read this story without any of the pictures, you might not know it was a multicultural story. But my intention was to make it a multicultural story. So all the pictures that follow in this opening page have different characters, different places in the world that we're going to. We're listening to sights. We're seeing sights and smells and sounds that are particular to different regions. We are seeing people play games, perhaps, while they're doing this chore. And we are moving around the globe and in a way that is a journey.
Oh, it's a great story and a great pictures here. Let's go to another one here.
Yes. This spread is two different spreads, and the one on the left shows where someone might be hanging laundry outdoors, and the other one shows people hanging laundry outside of their window, two totally different places, maybe in a courtyard or an apartment scene where they're using the pulley, pull in the line and put their laundry up. This is an example of the different kinds of places you might find people hanging laundry. And this little girl, I might point out, she is hanging up her stuffed rabbit, which is based on my experience growing up. I had a little rabbit just like that, so I wanted to.
So you like to wash your rabbit and hang it up?
Sometimes.
And I
certainly
it smells so good afterwards.
Yeah, he's probably gone through a lot of trauma, I'm sure.
Right.
I especially like this page. I can just see the excitement going on here and the dancing.
This is a page that talks about the clothes being taken off the line. And again, we have different characters doing that simple chore in different ways. And I wanted to read that page to give you a sense of the meter and rhythm of the book. So the page says, after a while of this and that, we empty the clothesline and do-si-do with sheets that flip and flap. With arms full of dancing partners, we waltz into the house to sort and fold and stack.
Wow.
So
Very cool.
The illustrations after this one are the children going in the house. They are going to bed at night. They might be a little concerned about some of the shadows in their room, but they pull up the sheet that's been outside in that lovely air, and they smell the fresh scent and remember the day spent with someone they love and are comforted. So
I have to add one more, because we have a special guest over here, and he's snuggled up into bed. I've got to show one more right here. The
Yes.
teddy bear.
that teddy bear is a teddy bear that was my son's. It was given to my son when he was a year old. And my son is now 30 years old, so he's been around a while. But that's one of the fun things to do as an illustrator, is to incorporate meaningful objects and different things in the illustrations that, that are help with the meaning of the book too. So
Yeah, so you've had a lot of things there that you could add. You know, the rabbit, and I'm sure you have so many more that you could probably add if you wanted to. But what you've done here, I think, is just tremendous. So you call your art technique collage painting,
right.
and you have quite an assortment. Let's just look at some of these that you brought. Assortment of materials, and one of them I recognize right away, which is a map, and you have maps inside part of the illustrations of your book.
Right.
And then I don't know if I should look at this or not. You have like recycled materials. Besides that, you have like, this is, everybody could recognize this is just, you know,
And we get
inside
that
of-
all the time.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
inside of an envelope. That has,
And even net, which I did see there in your book. I saw that several places.
right. The netting.
And this particular pattern is in the book several places
Right,
too. So this paper here was bought.
Right. I use a combination of recycled materials, which you just showed, the paper that has
Feel free
the
to
circles.
just dive in here
Okay.
to tell us about your
Sure,
materials
Sure.
here.
This one is paper. I also buy paper at art supply store. I save everything from produce bags to interesting
Designs on
designs on the
mailers.
inside of mailers, boarding passes and tickets from everywhere. I also make my own papers. I will make a batch of papers using paint. This is an example of one that,
You made that.
yes, I'll
Wow.
take a piece of plain paper, maybe a colored piece or a white piece of paper, or a blue piece, green piece, and I'll paint it with different materials. This one I used actually, I think it was a baseball that I dipped in paint and sort of moved it around moved
Can
it
you see
around the
that?
paper.
Cool.
And then this one
That's
I
a-
used a large fork and just drew the paint through on top of the sheet of paper there.
But now, besides paper, you also use fabric.
Right.
Which, this is the one I remember I had to ask you, these little cars. And I had to ask you, did you paint all those cars?
No.
And isn't that cute? And that's in there in several different places. So,
Right.
so
So-
you use an assortment of things.
I do. The fabric I'll get from a fabric store or a quilting store.
Well, just,
So you're always experimenting and trying new things that you can incorporate into, that you might want to incorporate into the book to add
Always.
color to it and add interest. Because just plain paint, they see that and some people can, oh, I know what that's from, or they get excited.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the idea. You're
Like an
absolutely
old-
right.
Yeah, the envelope is quite interesting.
Let's
I
see
never
some
thought
of
of
this,
using
because
incorporating.
this is, am I in order here? Did you want to show
No,
this
that's
one?
fine. That's,
So this one
that's
here?
great.
What is
Sure.
this one?
This is a combination of, I want to show here, is a combination of paint and paper. Most all of the pages are. But I wanted to point out that the map is a map of Africa, which is where we are in this illustration. And it's underneath the paint that you see in the foreground here.
That's so neat.
And every page has a clothesline, and the clothesline is a strip of a map that I cut out. The houses here are painted, but the roofs have paper Most of the people you see in the picture are painted with the exception of their hair and some of the baskets. And the cloths, those are both pieces of paper as well.
And the water.
The water is a combination of paint and paper.
Looks really nice. Looks really nice. It looks almost like tissue type. We'll have to move along a little bit here. So let's see. What about you? You had something you wanted to show here?
Let's talk about this one. This is an illustration that has a girl by the river, and most of it has oil pastel in the background and paint. But you notice that the river isn't there in that illustration as it is. If you could pass me that.
Sure.
Yeah, as it is here. So what happened is that I wasn't quite sure which paper to use. I had made some handmade papers, and I wasn't sure whether to use this one or whether to use the other one I have here. So I cut them both out, and what I do sometimes is I use Photoshop, which is a computer tool, and I scanned all of this in. And
you scan it into your computer, and then you can switch back and forth.
That's right. I could switch and decide which one to use, and I ended up using this one. So
wow.
Yeah, and then you can see.
There's so much that goes into writing a children's picture book that people just don't realize. I've had people say that to me, oh, that's easier than writing this or that. It's not true. I mean, the thought that you put into this and the time and the effort, it's just, I mean, I imagine, do you write novels too? I mean, I imagine that this is, it's a novel.
There's a tremendous amount of visual absorption that you get from something like this that even the kids can relate to. They can say, oh, that's off of a wrapping paper that I got my Christmas present in.
Well, that's the beauty of a picture book, I think.
Yeah,
oh, and here is the net that I pointed out, the net.
And again, we have the map made out of it's clothesline rather, made out of a map. And the map in here is behind this hill, which is then painted over with a little bit of pastel. The rest is paint.
Over the
and
map.
Paper. Yes.
Over the map.
Yes, the map is, sorry, the map is
underneath.
Well,
yeah, it's recessed into.
That is so neat. And this is showing the fabric, how you use the fabric.
This is showing the fabric. This particular piece, again, I used the painting and all the fabric I scanned in and used in Photoshop.
That's fantastic. Now, could you show us your done?
Yes. One of the things that illustrators do often when they are working on a picture book is they put together a mock book. Most picture books are 32 pages, and this gives them a guideline as to where the words are going to go in relationship to the imagery. So, for example, can you see that?
You're doing good.
Okay.
You're doing great.
For example, here's an illustration that has words on it, and the illustrations are very rough in a book like this, a book dummy. Because it's a mock-up, and you want to be able to edit it and change it quickly so you don't become too involved in doing a lot of detail. You're really concerned about placement and page turn in a picture book like this.
Well, you just said most books are 32 pages. Is that kind of a standard then for children's books, for real young children?
Yes. Most picture books are about 32 pages. Some can be a little bit longer, but that is the standard.
So you don't want to expand on it, and you don't want to go less. That's kind of what they know the attention span.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
So so that's the picture book dummy.
How did you? What strategy did you use to secure your publisher? I think a lot of people out there would like to know, geez, I'd like to write a children's book. What strategy do you use, or did you use in this particular case?
A couple of strategies, actually. I'm a part of a writer and illustrator group, so when I finished the book and we talked about what kind of publishers might be interested in a book like this, and then I also did my homework with the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. I am a member of that group, which is a wonderful community of writers and illustrators that put on events and have a great reference library for publishing and for publishers. So I went through that reference, and I picked out a dozen or so different publishers that I thought might be interested in multicultural themes. And then I wrote them a letter and included my book dummy that I showed you, one of the finished illustrations. After about 4 months, I heard from Starbright Books, and they are the publisher of Smelling Sunshine. And I've had a great time working with them.
Well, I think we have their website, if we could bring that up, so if people are interested, they can go to their website and see what other kind of books that they have, that they offer.
And check out information about your books as well.
If you're somebody who'd like to give a try at this, they've been really good to you, this publisher.
I've enjoyed working with them. They've been around for quite a long time.
Well, you're already working on another book, and we do have an illustration, and this is an egret.
It is. It's a great egret.
And you were inspired about this because of your volunteer work that you do at Stinson Beach. So could you tell us about the center and your work there?
Sure.
And the connection with the egret.
Of course. This is these are great egrets on both pages. This is a pencil drawing, a rough from the dummy of my new book called A Stick on Till. And here you see on the left-hand side, the great egrets are passing a stick to one another as a gift, and that's part of their mating ritual. It's kind of a wonderful thing that they do. And on the right, they are displaying their beautiful nuptial plumage. And I was inspired by the great egrets because I worked as a volunteer at the Marty Griffin Preserve in Stinson Beach across from the Bolinas Lagoon, where there has been for many years an egret heronry there. And I worked as a volunteer talking about the preserve, leading hikes, letting people know what is happening there. It's a great place to visit.
Well, when will this new book be out?
It'll be out in 2017.
Which is called A Stick and Till.
A stick
and till.
Right.
Until what?
A Stick on Till is a story about tool use in animals, including humans. So
now you're going to use a different technique you'd mentioned for this new book, and what would that how much difference will that be?
Stay, Teddy, stay.
I can show you right here. It does have some of the collage technique that I.
So you are sticking with the collage then?
I am. I have on the left-hand side, the chimpanzee is using a stick as a spoon, spooning in the termites that they found here. But I'm also using line drawings as well because I'm putting this together as if it were someone's science journal that they're writing in. This is, of course, does not have the text on it, but the ochre charcoal on the right-hand side will stay as it is, as a line drawing, and then here there will be the collage technique that we discussed earlier. So it's a little bit different.
You will still have the text at the bottom or different parts of the pages?
Yes, it'll be...
Or over it,
right.
Superimposed on it.
There's a through line of a story that will be going on the top of the page. And then there's also scientific information about what's happening, and that will be underneath, for example, this chimpanzee here and also here. So there'll be text explaining what's happening, but also there's a story that's going through. So there'll be text in different places.
So how many other animals will you have in this book?
Good question. I think there are half a dozen other animals, and then there'll be there's a little story too about how we use sticks, how humans use sticks.
So I'm thinking about the texture on this guy. What will you use to make that?
Well, I started out, all my illustrations start out like this. They start out with a structural drawing, and then on top, for example, the chimpanzee here, I start with paint and paper. I spent a lot of paper. This is paper for the hair on the chimpanzee.
Will you'll be still sticking to the 32-page format?
Yes, this will have a 32-page format. And I really enjoy looking for the material that I'm going to use for the collage, whatever
Oh,
the paper is going to be. It's a lot of fun to do that. It takes a while to
Do you have a lot of people giving you stuff, and quilters and so forth, giving you materials and stuff?
I
Do
do.
you have that?
I have friends who give me papers and know that I use them
Oh,
in
you
my
have
art.
ties.
Oh, there they go. Yeah, would you like some ties? I got a whole box of ties.
Well, there's a person in Hands on the Art that we do every year, and he takes ties and makes snakes out of them.
Oh.
And so we were thinking about him, but ties are awesome.
They would be great. They'd be really fun to work with.
Yes. Oh, yes. I think that would be super. Wow, that's really neat. So is this book, was this second one now, is this one harder for you than the first one, or is it getting easier or harder for you?
Oh, I think that every book is a little bit different, but I think I know what to expect in terms of how I'm going to work, how long it's going to take me. I think those kinds of things are easier. But well, I really enjoy the process of both writing and illustrating. And sometimes I'll write the story along with illustrating. So one informs the other as I work through books.
So you don't have a formula where you write the story and then develop the illustrations. You do it in concert. You do it together. Then.
Yes, I often will do it together because it helps me see what's coming next in the book and how what needs to happen next. So combining those two things really works very well.
Well, it's just been such a delight to have you here today and learn so much about the technique that you use. I really didn't have any idea that it was so difficult and so time-consuming to do this. So thank you for sharing this with us. And for those of you watching that may like to do your own children's book, I hope that Constance's book has inspired you and that her tips for going about doing it, I hope that they have helped you. And please check her website for information on her book and anything else that's on there. And good luck and go for it in writing your book. Thanks for watching the show. Watch again. Would you write this your autograph for me?
I would love to do that. Thank you very much. And thanks for having me.
Oh,
It's
you're
been a pleasure.
Welcome. It's been our pleasure.
Should I make it out to Darlene and Dawn?
Just darling.